So what we're going to do today is we're going to do a little pasta dish that I invented with a friend at his restaurant a few years ago. First thing you got to do, obviously, with all pasta dishes, is get the pasta going. So what I've done is I've got some water boiling here with olive oil and salt in it. So it's going to be a fettuccine packet, like that. So I've broken that into thirds. And there's a few advantages with breaking the pasta like that. For starters, you've got smaller size spaghetti, so they'll cook quicker. Worst thing you can do with your pasta is let it stick. So what this is, this water's got a bit of salt in it, so that'll increase the boiling point of the water. The olive oil in there is just how I've always cooked pasta. Helps it not to stick. All right, so in about 15 minutes, that should be ready to go. Right, we're just going to put the lid on that and just let it do its thing. Out of the garden this morning, I went and picked a zucchini and some squash straight off the plants. What I've done here is everything's done in the order that it needs to be cooked. So the other ingredient in this is bacon. So if you wanted to keep this as a vegetarian option, what you would do is just have your shallots, red onion, garlic, and your zucchini and also your squash there, and you wouldn't put the bacon in it, but bacon is one thing that gives this pasta a lot of flavour. The other thing is too that people don't realise, when you cook with squash like this, right, especially the golden squash, when you cook with a squash like this, it actually makes the pasta go sweet because one of the other ingredients is cream. So what I'm going to do first is, this is the red onion, right? Red onions are, personally, I think, a lot more flavour. So you can do this one of two ways. You can either cut them really thin and leave the half rings, or you can dice it so that everything gets cooked. So I'm just going to dice this down here. The other thing is too, with this pasta, you've got to get your pasta cold. There we go. Okay, so the first two ingredients that we're going to put in the pan is the shallots and the red onion, okay? You don't want to have this ingredients too big and chunky in the pan. Obviously, if you're cooking a soup, that's a different story, okay? But when you're not cooking a soup and you're trying to get these to break down the food that you're cooking, you want to dice them up fairly thin, as they say in New Zealand. Okay, onion's very good for you. It purifies your blood, gives you a lot of really good trace elements. And like I said to you, we developed this recipe at a friend's restaurant. I was growing a heap of this stuff in the garden at the time, okay? What I'm going to do this now is I'm deliberately going to cook this on low heat so that it sort of just takes it steady. When you cook pasta, I always like to use butter. I don't like to use oil. The other ingredients that we have is the shortcut bacon, and that's a bit of cream later for the sauce. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to fire the onion up in this pan. I think I need to get a new hob. This one's a bit old. We're just going to get this butter to do a nice even covering on the pan. And I'm going to cook this really slowly so that it will match the time when the fettuccine comes out. I've got to get this pasta cold. So, a little bit of salt. If you want to be adventurous, you put a bit of chili in there as well. A little bit of pepper. And then what we'll do is we'll put our red onion and shallots in there first. Now these will reduce down to nothing. I'll just cut the ends off that, and then I'll peel that. Me personally, I prefer to cook food slowly so all the flavours come out. Alright, so we're starting to get a bit of heat coming through the pan. You can hear the onions and the shallots starting to cook. Red onion is preferred for this dish. If you don't have red onion, is okay. So what we've got there is we cut a couple of bits of garlic. Right, I'm getting all fancy now. I bought a garlic press. So now what we do here is just get the garlic press there. Come on, bud, what are you doing? That should be enough. So what we're going to do is we're just going to give this some time to just break down gently. And I mean, if you've got it spread out over the pan with a thin layer, it cooks a lot better anyway. Now, this is the courgette or zucchini from the garden. Let's see how this went in the middle. Oh, it's like velvet. Looks pretty good to me. Look at the difference in there in the stuff that you grow to the stuff that you buy. No harsh fertilizers, no harsh sprays or anything like that. Just good natural way of doing it. You know, normally when you buy the stuff, you've got all this resistance when you sort of cut through it. Right, there's absolutely no resistance with this. The good thing about this pasta too is if you've got enough golden squash, what happens is, we used to call it golden pasta. That's what we put on the menu, and you'd get the gold from the gold marrow, you know. Oh, the aroma coming out of this pan already, just with the garlic and the onion and that. Yeah, and that's what happens, Gazza. When you grow it with, you know, really concentrated fertilizers, it just hammers it. Right, let's have a look at this now. Yeah, beautiful. There you go, people. $15 a kilo at the shops at the moment, and they don't look anywhere as good as that. Look at that. Looks like it's been spray painted, doesn't it? And that's the little green squash. All right. Nicely done. Whatever you put in first in the pan is usually what absorbs all the flavour. Once that pasta starts to slow down, all the starch has been pushed out of the pasta, which means it's not far off being cooked, I think. 3 good rashers of bacon out of that. With this shortcut bacon, I'm going to take the fat out of it, much to Culpable's disgust. Right. Right. All right. So I'm just going to give that pasta a little bit more water, because when the water reduces, that's when it sort of makes it stick together as well. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to push this to one side, get the bacon going. We should have our pasta sorted by then. Right, but I mean, look at the difference in the colour of this food. You look at that compared to the stuff that you buy. The stuff that you buy is totally different to the stuff that you grow. And there's no hard skin because it hasn't been force-fed with harsh chemical fertilisers. This has just been, you know, a bit of fish emulsion and a bit of blood and bone. And as well as that, we used a conditioner like seaweed extract. So this is all natural stuff that allows it to grow slowly in the ground, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm just going to push this aside now, like that. I'm going to put the bacon in it, like so. The other thing is too, when you cook the veggies like this and you cook them slow, you try and get maximum flavour. That's what it's about with me. I don't really worry about getting it quick. I mean, we're not a bloody restaurant or anything, you know. I'm cooking for myself here. I'm just going to give that a little bit more time. Yeah, we're not far off now. The fettuccine's starting to swell, and we've only got probably about 5 minutes off there before it's al dente. Now what we'll do is we'll blend the bacon and all the other veggies that are in here, okay? Oh, wow. Yep, fan-bloody-tastic, that is. Rightio, that's enough for the pasta. Let's bring that in here now. All right, we've got enough in there now. Beautiful. We've cooked that bacon nice. It's got a bit of a crisp to it. A lot of the onion's still there. It's not burnt because we've had it on low heat. Right, good work. All right, so now what we're going to do is we'll put the pasta in there, like so. We're going to mix all this together and start giving it a bit of heat. And once we bring it up to heat again, then what we're going to do is we're going to add the cream. And then you'll see a transformation of this with the whole dish, okay? So as you can see, we've got the base of the flavour there, which is the garlic, the shallots, the red onions, the courgettes, golden squash and green squash out of the garden. Now here we've got a bit of a sizzle going on. Beautiful. Now see how the pasta's starting to get all the butter in that, okay? Now, this is the bit that's going to seal the deal, as they say. And you can normally tell when this is ready to go. I'll show you. See how it's gone translucent there? That's absorbed all the flavours. That is so sweet. So this is the cream. Right. So just mix this through. We're just going to leave that to cook through. Right. So see there how it's all runny and that sort of stuff? Hey, look, it has gone a bit golden. Look, it has gone a bit golden from the squash. So what we're going to do is we're just going to cook this through. I'm going to have my first decent meal for about 3 days. Now, as you can see, just with a few onions, some shallots, which I'm growing in the garden as well, garlic I'm growing, zucchinis and squash I'm growing, with a bit of bacon and some pasta, it's a good way of tricking the younger crew into eating this because they see the bacon in there. Always tastes good. So what we're doing here is see how this pasta's, if we go like that, see how it's still runny, right? See how it's still moving across the pan like that? We just want to reduce enough moisture out of it, so let's just let that cook through for a couple more minutes. Now see how with that pasta, see how the cream's not moving as much? Right, that's done. Turn that off. The proof's in the pudding, as they say. Because I haven't grown any parsley in the garden, I'm not going to put any on there. And there we are, people. Ta-da! Golden pasta. Very easy to make, very good for you. Every day is a good day, mate, when you're breathing and you're alive.